This happened a few nights ago. I was driving home late from a friend's house. I thought I could clear my head, so I took a longer route through the back roads. I'm not a pro driver, but I've always found late-night drives to be relaxing. The woods were thick on either side of the road, and the streetlights flickered. It was quiet, maybe too quiet. At first, everything seemed normal. I passed a few familiar boulders and clusters of trees. Then, out of nowhere, I saw a figure by the roadside. They wore ragged clothes. I slowed down, thinking they might need help. Just as I was about to roll down my window, something felt wrong. The figure's head snapped up. I froze. The grin on their face was unsettling. Their mouth moved, but I couldn't hear anything. It was like they were speaking underwater. Before I could process what was happening, they vanished. One moment they were there, the next they were gone. I couldn't shake it off. I went back the next night, hoping to see something. I think I was a bit of a glutton for punishment. Just as I passed the same spot again, a woman appeared on the side of the road. She looked disheveled, with wild hair and wide eyes. I couldn't tell what she was saying, but it sounded like she was rambling about lost time. My heart raced as I drove past. Her eyes were locked on me, but I couldn't stop. It felt heavy in the air. I glanced in my rearview mirror. She stood there, still staring back at me as I drove away. Then, on the third night, I saw what looked like a child waving from the woods. I thought maybe they were lost. I slowed down, feeling uneasy. But as I got closer, the child vanished, just like the others. It felt like someone hit pause on reality. An icy chill wrapped around me. I had the feeling I was being watched. My skin prickled as I drove faster, glancing around. I didn't want to see anything else. By now, I was questioning my sanity. Were these encounters real? Was my mind playing tricks on me? I wasn't sure which was worse, believing I was imagining things, or considering the idea that something might be lurking out there. Then, just a few nights ago, I heard a soft voice. It was clear, like a child's whisper. "Why are you leaving?" I turned around and looked in the rearview mirror. Nobody was there. My heart sank. Each night, I felt the weight of their stares follow me. I couldn't escape those moments. They haunted me. I kept expecting something, someone, to jump out from the trees. The mystery of it all made it worse. Did I miss something? Or was I just losing my grip on reality? I told myself I was done driving that road. But deep down, part of me wanted to go back. I just wanted answers. The next night, against my better judgment, I found myself driving down that same back road again. I told myself it was just a drive, nothing more. But the further I went, the more apprehensive I felt. The trees loomed larger, shadows dancing as the headlights met them. The silence felt oppressive, wrapping around me like a heavy blanket. I had my phone with me, ready to record anything unusual, just in case. I didn't know what I was hoping to catch, but I felt I needed proof. After what happened the last few nights, I couldn't ignore it. I was tired of feeling like I was losing my mind. As I neared the spot where I had seen the figures before, I slowed down, my heart hammering. It was hard to see much in the darkness, but I felt their presence again, a palpable weight in the air. Just as I was about to convince myself to turn back, something caught my eye. That's when I saw it, a flash of white in the trees. I leaned forward, straining to get a better look, my breath catching in my throat. There was a small shed hidden beneath the branches. I'd never noticed it before. It looked old and weathered, like it had been untouched for years. A thick layer of vines crept over the door. Something inside me urged me to stop. I pulled over, my hands trembling as I placed the car in park. I stepped out of the vehicle, the chill of the night air hitting me like a wave. My heart raced as I turned on the flashlight, directing it toward the shed. The beam flickered over the door, revealing a broken lock and rusted hinges. A part of me wanted to ignore it, but the mystery was too tempting. I felt a strange pull, as if the shed was calling me. I approached cautiously, each step making the hair on my neck stand on end. The shadows seemed to stretch and reach out. When I reached the door, I hesitated. My hand hovered over the broken lock. I took a deep breath and pushed it open. A creak echoed through the night, sending chills down my spine. Inside, the air was stale, heavy with dust. The faint outline of shelves came into view. My flashlight illuminated strange artifacts, old toys, discarded clothes, and what looked like photographs. I felt a rush of dread. The photos seemed odd, depicting children in various settings, the same strange expressions on their faces. They looked lost, pleading. I stumbled back, nearly falling into the doorframe. And then I heard it. A faint giggle, light and airy. It echoed from deep within the shed, sending cold fingers of fear down my back. My instincts screamed at me to run, but something kept me rooted in place. That's when I saw it again. A quick movement in the corner of my eye. I swung the flashlight in that direction, and my breath hitched. There, in the shadows, stood a figure, a small child with disheveled hair, looking right at me. My heart dropped. I fought the urge to scream. The child's eyes were wide, almost pleading, like they were waiting for something from me. I took a step back, my mind racing. Why were they here? What did this mean? With a rush of adrenaline surging through me, I turned and bolted for my car, certain I was being watched. But as I jumped in and slammed the door, I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever I just encountered was only the beginning. As I sped away from that damn shed, the adrenaline was still coursing through me. I couldn't shake the image of the child's eyes, full of something I couldn't place. Fear? Hopelessness? I drove faster than I should have, heart racing and hands shaking on the steering wheel. I needed to get back to safety, to the familiar hum of everyday life. Once I hit the main road, I tried to breathe deeply, to rationalize what had just happened. It was just my imagination, I told myself. The tired mind plays tricks, especially in the dark. But deep down, I knew that wasn't entirely true. I glanced at my phone. No service. Typical. The isolation of the backroads left me cut off from the outside world, and I began to think about the photographs in the shed. There was something off about them, something that tugged at my memories, but I couldn't quite grasp what. Were those children from the area, or was there more to their story? Before I knew it, I had arrived home. I parked in the driveway, but I didn't move. My door felt like a barrier I wasn't ready to cross. Instead, I took out my phone to review the recording from earlier. I had to see if there was anything strange on it. I played it back, squinting at the small screen, but nothing stood out, just the sound of my own breaths and the creaking door. And then I noticed something. As the flashlight beam swept across the room in the shed, there was a split second where the child appeared, faint but unmistakable. My heart skipped. Was it really there? Was it some kind of distortion? I paused it, trying to catch a better view, wishing I had captured more of that moment. Just as I was about to give up, I heard a knock. It was light at first, barely audible, but it repeated. My breath caught in my throat. Someone was at my door. I wasn't expecting anyone, and it was late. Gingerly, I got out of the car and approached my front door, each step filled with trepidation. Who would come here at this hour? I pressed an ear to the door, straining to listen, but all I could hear was my own pounding heart. With my hand hovering over the doorknob, another knock came, this time stronger. My instinct screamed at me not to answer, but curiosity pulled. Maybe it was my neighbor? Maybe they had seen something strange too. I opened the door a crack, peering out into the darkness, but no one stood there. My surroundings felt eerily still, like I had stepped into a different dimension. Just as I was about to shut the door, I caught movement in the corner of my eye. A figure darted away, a flash of white disappearing behind the hedges. Panic surged through me. Was it the child from the shed, or was it something else entirely? I slammed the door shut, locking it tight, and my mind raced. I could almost hear the giggle again, echoing in my head. I stepped back, searching for something to grasp onto, some semblance of safety. But then I remembered the photographs, the expressions on the children's faces. I felt the weight of their longing and the horror of their situation wash over me. Now it was my turn to figure out what was really happening here, but I didn't know where to start. The need for answers boiled inside me, and that unsettling feeling told me this wasn't over. Tomorrow, I would go back. I had to. But as I turned to leave the door, I froze. Something was tapping from the other side. Soft, patient, almost childlike. It was time to face whatever this was. I stood there, frozen in place, my heart pounding in my chest. The tapping continued, a rhythmic sound that did little to calm my nerves. What was waiting for me outside? I needed to know. I took a deep breath and pulled the door open just a bit wider. The night air was cold, wrapping around me like a shroud. Nothing beyond the threshold but shadows and silence. I stepped outside, cautiously, scanning the area. "Hello?" I called, my voice shaky. "Is anyone there?" No response. I felt stupid standing there. Maybe I was just imagining things. But another faint tap came, this time as if it were beckoning me. Against my better judgment, I moved toward the hedges. Every instinct told me to turn back, but I was driven by something deeper, a need to understand. I crouched down, peering into the darkness. Suddenly, my flashlight flickered, then died. Just great. I fumbled in my pocket for something, anything. I landed on my keys. Holding them tightly, I edged my way into the bushes, convinced I'd find nothing. But then I saw it. A doll, half buried in the dirt. Its featureless face stared blankly at me. A chill ran down my spine. I wasn't ready for this. Just as I picked it up, I heard movement behind me. My breath caught, and I turned quickly. A whisper skittered through the air, words I couldn't make out. My stomach twisted. "Who's there?" I shouted, my voice rising above the sudden stillness. From the other side of the yard, a shadow moved. It hesitated, then melted away into the trees. Something instinctual told me to follow, but fear anchored me to the spot. I clutched the doll tightly, its lifelessness giving me a sense of stability. Just then, I remembered the shed, the photographs. Was this all connected? Maybe the doll was a clue left for me to find. Anxiety prickled at the edges of my mind. I couldn't ignore this. If I didn't confront it now, would I ever have the courage to do so? The whispers grew louder, forming words I still couldn't understand. But the urgency was inescapable. Something wanted me to know. I stood up, brushing dirt from my hands, and glanced back at my house. The comforting glow of my living room felt far away now. I started moving toward the tree line. The ground was uneven underfoot, and I stumbled a bit, yet I pressed on. The whispers seemed to guide me, fading in and out like a poorly tuned radio. I could feel energy thrumming in the air, something electric and alive. Then I saw it, a flicker of movement under a distant street lamp. It was fleeting, but it was there. I wanted to run, yet my legs wouldn't cooperate. I hesitated, heart racing again, knowing I was on the verge of something big. Then everything went dark. The lights around me flickered, then completely shut off. The silence grew thick, suffocating. I was enveloped by it. And then I heard a laugh, small, piercing, and close. My pulse quickened. I turned around slowly, knowing I might not like what I found. I barely had time to process the laugh before I felt a rush of wind. It pushed against me like someone or something was trying to get by. I stumbled backward, heart racing. I strained to see, but there was nothing, just the darkness and the trees standing sentinel. "Hello?" My voice was barely a whisper this time. I felt foolish, calling into the void. Then the laughter came again, bubbling up like a stream. It echoed around me, weaving through the branches, and I ducked my head as if that could make me less of a target. Squeezing the doll from the hedges in my hand, I heard the distinct sound of shuffling footsteps somewhere off to my right. My brain raced. This couldn't be happening. Did someone follow me out here? I could only see the outline of the trees, but shadows danced between them as if they were alive. Who's there? I tried again, my voice losing authority. An answering giggle echoed, higher pitched, and somehow joyful despite the circumstances. Something stirred within me. Was it a child? The thought haunted me. A child shouldn't be out here alone. Maybe they were lost, or worse. What could a child be doing in a place like this? "Come out," I called, a mix of anger and worry lacing my voice. "Are you hurt?" There was silence. Then a soft rustle broke through the stillness. My eyes darted around, but I couldn't pinpoint where the sound came from. Slowly, the air changed. It grew colder, and I felt the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Suddenly, a flash caught my eye. A figure darting out from behind a tree, just barely illuminated by the light. My heartbeat hammered in my ears. I blinked hard, trying to figure out what I saw. Was it a child? But it moved too quickly, darting like a firefly, teasing me with glimpses that just kept slipping away. "Stop!" I shouted, feeling more desperate by the second. "I just want to help." The figure halted, just for a moment, and I caught a glimpse of a small, pale face framed by dark hair. But before I could identify anything more, it was gone, swallowed by the night like a ghost in the fog. Panic surged through me. I couldn't let it escape. Was it really just a child? I took off running toward where I last saw it, the doll swinging by my side. My breath came out in quick gasps, and with each step I called out again, "Please, wait!" Another laugh, closer this time, burst through the trees, slicing through my resolve. It felt like a challenge. With each echo, I felt my courage about to slip away. I tripped on a root and stumbled, catching myself on a nearby trunk as darkness threatened to pull me under. I was aware that I wasn't alone anymore. Something else lurked just beyond the shadows, something that wanted to play. Then there was a jolt of brightness, a flashbulb that exploded into my vision, blinding me for a moment. That's when I saw it. No longer a teasing shadow, but a figure standing still. The smile on its face was wide, unsettling, and I suddenly knew I'd just crossed a boundary I couldn't return from. The question was, what did it want from me? The figure remained motionless, a stark contrast to the chaos around me. Its smile felt wrong, stretching too wide, revealing teeth that gleamed impossibly white in the dim light. I felt my chest tighten, thoughts racing. Whatever it wasn't here for good reason. "Who are you?" I managed to croak, staring into its eyes, searching for a hint of humanity. But those eyes were hollow, empty, and void of any warmth. They glimmered like black pools. "Come play with me," the figure sang, its voice twisting like a sugar-coated knife. The laughter danced in the air, wrapping around me, electrifying and creepy at the same time. My instinct screamed at me to run, but my body refused to obey, captivated by the surreal spectacle. "Where's the child?" I asked, struggling to sound steady. "Did you see a child out here?" "Why would I tell you?" It tilted its head, and the smile only grew. "You're too busy thinking of the past. Play with me right now." I felt a rush of dread. The night felt darker, more oppressive. It wasn't just a figment of my imagination. This thing wanted something from me. I took a step back, clutching the doll for comfort, feeling the worn fabric brush against my skin. "Stay away from me!" I shouted, realizing my voice quivered more than I intended. I gazed around, but the trees only encroached closer, the shadows thickening, as if they were drawn to the figure standing before me. I considered running, but my feet felt rooted to the ground. The figure took a step forward, an eerie grace in its movement, as if it floated rather than walked. "Why be scared? I just want to play," it coaxed, an unsettling sing-song in its voice. In that moment, something caught my eye. Movement, just beyond the figure. I squinted into the darkness, and my heart skipped. The pale face of the child appeared again, peeking from behind a thick oak. I felt a strange mix of hope and terror. "Is that you?" I called out, my heart racing with the possibility. The child didn't respond, but clutched something small in their hands, a toy maybe, and vanished into the forest's depths. My focus shifted back to the figure. "Come, she wants to play too," it urged, beckoning me closer. It grinned, the promise of fun laced with something sinister. I could sense the danger growing, but I couldn't ignore the need to find the child. "Leave her alone," I yelled, trying to summon whatever courage I had left. "What do you want?" The figure stopped, surprise flashing on its face. Then it laughed again, a sound that turned my insides. "If you want her, you'll have to join us," it replied. Suddenly, the laughter morphed into a cacophony, the shadows around me shifting and pulsing like a living entity. A chill snaked down my spine. My instinct screamed that I was running out of time. I spun on my heel, adrenaline surging as I darted back in the direction of where I had seen the child. The laughter turned into cries, echoing behind me, promising fun and terror all at once. Then, a moment of stillness. Everything went silent. I glanced over my shoulder, searching for the figure. It was gone. But that emptiness was just as terrifying as its presence. As I raced through the underbrush, a noise stopped me dead in my tracks. A child's voice echoed softly in the night. "Help me." The rush of urgency returned, but I felt a growing dread. I had no idea what I was about to encounter. The only thing I knew was that I couldn't stay here. I had to find the child, and maybe, just maybe, escape whatever darkness loomed in the shadows. The darkness enveloped me like a thick blanket. My heart pounded in my ears as I raced toward the sound, each footfall muffled by the soft earth beneath me. The forest was closing in, branches swiping at me like clawed hands. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching, lurking just beyond my line of sight. "Help me," the voice sounded again, closer. This time, I pressed on, driven by fear and desperation. The shadows seemed to stretch longer, twisting around me like something alive. I couldn't lose sight of the child. I had to find her. I burst into a small clearing, and my breath caught. There, in the middle of the moonlit space, was the child from before. Her pale face illuminated by a shaft of light, and her wide eyes were filled with something I couldn't place. Fear, perhaps? She still clutched that small object, now more visible, a toy, its edges frayed. "Where did you go?" I asked, trying to sound calm despite my racing heart. The last thing I wanted was to frighten her further. "Are you okay?" She shook her head slowly, her voice trembling. "It's not safe here. We have to go." "Go where?" I glanced around, expecting the figure to appear at any moment. The laughter still echoed faintly in the distance, haunting and relentless. "The thing, it wants to play. We can't play." Her eyes darted to the trees, and I could feel the shift around us, the dark shapes lurking, preparing to tighten their grip. Without thinking, I stepped closer. "What thing? Is it still here?" She pointed towards the edge of the clearing. I squinted into the gloom and spotted a flicker of movement, black shapes flitting between the trees. My instincts kicked in. I grabbed the child's hand. "We need to move, now." We started to run, but the moment we turned, a piercing shriek split the air. The sound was not human. It clawed at my mind, sending chills coursing through my body. "Faster!" I shouted, the child's grip tightening around my hand. I could see a path ahead, jagged roots and stones weaved through the underbrush. The cacophony grew louder, mixing with the laughter I heard earlier, distorting into a symphony of chaos. But then, everything went still again. My heart sank as shadows coalesced before us, forming a wall. The figure re-emerged, grinning wider than before, teeth shining in the fading moonlight. "Leaving already? The fun is just starting," it sang, its voice dripping with mockery. I felt paralyzed. Nothing felt right. The child was tugging at my arm, her breath hitching as she stared wide-eyed at the figure. I took a deep breath, trying to summon whatever courage I had left. "Let us go," I yelled, anger surging with my fear. "She doesn't want to play." The figure's smile faltered for a moment. "Are you sure? She makes a lovely friend." In that instant, I noticed something on the ground. A small glimmering object, half buried beneath the leaves. My heart raced as I recognized it. It was the same doll I had clutched just a short while earlier. That's when I saw it. The child's eyes locked onto the doll, a flicker of recognition sparking within her. It's not just a toy," my breath caught. The child was right. This wasn't just about playing. It was something else. Something more sinister. Then the figure took a step forward, and dread sank back in. We were running out of time. I had to escape, to understand what we were caught in before it was too late. I clenched the child's hand tighter, the grip of cold panic settling deeper into my bones. The figure's laughter rang out again, a hollow echo that danced around us like wind through the trees. "You really should stay," it taunted, twisting its body in a mockery of playfulness. "Just run," I urged, dragging the girl with me. We darted back into the forest, the shadows swallowing us once more. I could feel the humid air pressing down, wrapping around us like a vice. The laughter faded behind us, but I knew it wouldn't last. It would come after us, relentless like a predator. As we moved through the thick brush, I scanned our surroundings for any path or sign of escape. "Where do we go?" I asked breathlessly, fighting against the tangled roots that clawed at my legs. "You said it's not safe here. Where can we hide?" She looked ahead, her expression turning serious. "To the river," she whispered, glancing back nervously. "We can lose it there." "Lead the way," I replied, trusting her instincts despite my confusion. We pushed forward, weaving between the trees, ducking low branches, the sounds of the forest growing more intense. The shrieks and laughter morphed again, sending shivers down my spine. The air felt electric, humming with an unexplainable energy. I risked a glance behind us, but nothing was there, yet. As we neared the riverbank, the trees opened up briefly, revealing a silver line of water cutting through the landscape. I breathed a sigh of relief, but before we could reach it, a heavy silence fell, washing over us like a wave. Then it happened. From within the darkness, a low growl rumbled, echoing off the trees. My heart raced again, thrumming wildly against my rib cage. This was no laugh. This was warning. The girl pulled me closer as a massive shape emerged from the shadows. It was the figure again, but it was bigger, darker, more monstrous. Its eyes glowed like burning coals, and its grin spread wider than I thought possible. "You think you can escape?" Its voice slithered through the air, thick with malice. I turned to the girl, panic surging. "What do we do?" "Into the water!" she cried, her voice just above a whisper, urgency etched into her features. Without hesitation, we dashed toward the riverbank. The moment my feet hit the cool water, I felt a jolt. I wasn't just splashing. The water reacted, swirling around us as if alive. The figure hesitated at the edge, its lights flickering with frustration. "You think you can hide in there? The river is mine, too." But we pressed deeper, urging ourselves to let the current take us, to flow away from the violence that sought to snatch us back. As we submerged, the surroundings darkened, the glow of the figure fading above us, while sudden warmth enveloped me, pulling me into the depths. Instinct kicked in, and I kicked my legs, trying to reach the surface. We broke through, gasping for air. But just as I turned to look back, something silver whizzed past, creating ripples in the water, and I felt my stomach drop. There, floating beside me, was the doll again, now fully intact and bright, as if mocking our very escape. "What is it?" I shouted, looking at the child, who seemed mesmerized by the sight. "It wants us!" she screamed, terror flooding her voice. In that moment, realization hit me like a stone. This wasn't just a game. Whatever that thing was, it was luring us, using the doll as bait. Suddenly, something sharp grabbed my ankle, pulling me back into the depths. My eyes widened in despair as I realized the river was not just an escape, it was a trap. Darkness enveloped us as the current yanked me downward, the cold water wrapping around my limbs like chains. I thrashed, desperately trying to break free, to surface, to escape the grip dragging me into the abyss. The girl screamed, her voice muffled under the rushing water, and I felt panic surge through me like electricity. I kicked harder, fighting against the pull. My hands clawed at the water, searching for anything to grab onto, but the liquid was thick and unyielding. Just when I thought I might drown, my foot slipped free, and I shot upwards, surfacing with a gasp. The girl was beside me, wide-eyed and trembling, but there was no time to catch my breath. Above us, the figure loomed at the riverbank, still grinning, its laughter cutting through the night like a jagged blade. It seemed to grow larger as we stared, rising with unnatural ease from the shadows. "Nowhere to run," it sang, voice dripping with taunts. "Can't you see? You belong to me." I grabbed the girl's hand again, pulling her close. "We need to move." We swam with all our might, the river's current pulling us in every direction. I could feel the toy's weight on my chest, dragging me down like a lead anchor. It glimmered in the dark, winking as if inviting me to take a closer look. "Leave the doll," the girl shouted. "It's part of it." My instinct screamed at me to hold on to it, that there was something more to it, but the call of safety was stronger. I let go, watching as the doll drifted away, still illuminated, shining brightly in the water, like a beacon of hope that might just be a trap. With renewed focus, we swam toward the opposite bank, the river twisting and narrowing, carrying us closer to safety. My arms burned, my lungs ached, but the sight of solid ground fueled my determination. When we finally reached the shore, I pulled the girl onto the bank, rolling over onto the grass in sheer exhaustion. Water dripped from my body, but I could still hear the laughter echoing from the river. The giant figure wasn't finished with us. "Come back," it called, voice dripping with sugary menace. "The fun is better with friends." "What do we do now?" I panted, glancing at the girl, who looked pale but fierce. "We need to get to my house," she said. "It's safer there. We can hide." Before I could respond, I registered a shift in the air, a tension that made my skin crawl. I turned back toward the river. That's when I saw it, the doll, floating toward us through the water, glimmering in the moonlight. It was moving on its own, leaving trails of bubbles, as if it were alive. "What is happening?" I shouted, feeling the fear rise in my throat. "It's coming for us!" The girl's voice trembled. "We can't let it reach us! Run!" Adrenaline surged through my veins as we stumbled up the riverbank, leaving behind the calm water that was now slick with danger. I looked back once more, and my heart dropped. The figure was gliding toward us, moving seamlessly in the water, its grin wider and more twisted than ever. Suddenly, the ground beneath us trembled. A fissure opened nearby, dark and gaping, threatening to swallow everything in its path. "We need to get away!" I screamed, yanking her hand. But as we turned to run, there was no path to safety. A wall of shadows moved toward us, blocking our escape. The fear crashed over me like a wave. We were out of time, trapped between the river and its monstrous guardian. What now? I thought, desperately searching for another option. Then, everything went dark. I blinked, and suddenly the world was quiet. The shadows receded, the flicker of laughter faded away, and I stood there in that disorienting silence. The river shimmered beneath the moonlight, still and undisturbed, as if nothing had happened. I looked around, confused, the girl's presence the only thing grounding me. "Do you feel it?" I whispered, my pulse steadying. "It's gone." "But it will be back," she replied, wide-eyed still, glancing over her shoulder. "It's never gone for long." I nodded slowly, that unsettling feeling creeping back in. Our escape felt too easy, like a trap disguised as freedom. The oppressive air shifted, and I sensed the symmetry of the moment, the calm before a storm. Before I could voice my thoughts, a flicker caught my eye, a small movement beneath the surface of the river. The dolly bobbed gently, its shimmering fabric gleaming, as if beckoning me to come closer. I took a step back, urging the girl away, but something compelled me, an insistent pull that tingled beneath my skin. "No, we can't go back," I warned, squeezing her hand tighter. "We just got out." "But it's calling us!" she shrieked, shaking her head. "You said it, it's a trap." The laughter returned, faint, more like an echoing memory now, but it filled the air with a palpable tension. I felt anger bubbling within, directed at that taunting presence. This wasn't just a game. It felt like something much darker, much more insidious. "Stay close," I urged, scanning the horizon, but the shadows clung to the trees, whispering secrets I couldn't hear. My instincts screamed that we needed to put distance between us and the river, not just the figure, but everything tied to it. As I dragged her away from the water's edge, the doll floated back down the stream, disappearing into the darkness. I was glad to see it go, but that sense of unrest lingered. "Where do we go?" I asked, feeling lost without direction. "To my house," she repeated, her determination re-emerging. "We can figure it out there." We started to run, not looking back, the forest closing in around us. I could still hear faint laughter trailing behind, the whispered calls of something that wouldn't let us go easily. Shadows chased us, threatening to reach out and snatch us back into that darkness. When we reached her house, a small, unassuming place shrouded in trees, I felt a fleeting sense of relief. I could finally catch my breath. The girl tugged at the door, panic still shadowing her face. "We have to lock it," she almost pleaded. We slipped inside, and the musty scent of wood and old memories surrounded us. She hurriedly bolted the door, the sound echoing through our shared silence. "We can't let it find us, not again," she muttered, retreating to the dimly lit corner. I stared at her, my heart still racing. "What was that thing?" I asked, finally giving voice to the chaos of emotions swirling within. "What does it want from us?" She looked down, her small frame almost trembling. "It plays with lost things, things that were never found." I frowned, memories of the photographs from the shed surfacing in my mind. The same expressions of longing, of loss, and the unmistakable pull I felt toward the doll that beckoned us. "Do you think it can come in here?" She swallowed hard, tears glimmering in her eyes. "I don't know," she whispered, curling into herself. "When it wants to play, it doesn't just stop." I felt the weight of her words, a truth I couldn't deny. The laughter echoed faintly outside, a reminder that we were far from safe. Yet the thought of what awaited us outside kept me rooted in place, unsure of how to confront this living nightmare. "We need a plan," I said, forcing calmness into my voice. "We can't let that thing take us. We need to think." But the reality loomed over us, suffocating like the darkness encroaching. "Can we go back to the shed?" she asked suddenly, desperation lighting her features. "Maybe it's there. It has to be connected somehow." "What if it is? What if it leads us back to that thing?" Her gaze shifted, the flicker of hope shining through confusion. "We have to try. There might be answers there. Maybe we can break its hold." The journey back down the path felt unnervingly familiar, each creeping shadow a reminder of the danger lurking behind us. Still, I felt compelled to move. Fleeting glimpses of light still tugged at me. We had to confront whatever darkness awaited us. As we pressed deeper into the woods, I couldn't shake the feeling that our pursuer was nearby. The balance of light and dark felt fragile, and it wouldn't take much for everything to spiral back into chaos. But the answers we sought were buried somewhere in that shed. And somewhere in the recesses of my mind, a question remained. Was this reality? Or was there something deeper, something that blurred the line between what couldn't be explained and what we were ignored? The truth seemed just out of reach. With each step, I could feel the boundary shifting, the balance becoming more precarious. As we approached the clearing, I hesitated, the air thick with anticipation. Whatever lay ahead would decide our fates, but it was a journey I was determined to take. The woods whispered around us, shadows closing in, and as the shed loomed before us, I realized we were standing on the edge of something unknown. What would we find inside? Answers? More questions? Only time would tell. "Are you ready?" I asked the girl, raising my chin. She nodded firmly, determination replaced with resolve even amid fear. Together, we stepped toward the door, back into whatever awaited us.